Imagine an animal with no shell, no claws, no venom of its own, and no speed to run from anything that wants to eat it. Now, imagine that same animal is one of the most dangerous things to bite into on the entire reef. That sounds impossible, but the real answer is far stranger than anything you just imagined, and it starts with your assumptions about what a weapon actually is. You probably think of weapons as something you build, something you make yourself, from scratch, using your own body. That is true for almost every armed creature in the ocean. The pufferfish makes its own toxin. The stingray grows its own barb. But there is one creature that skipped that step entirely. It just takes what it needs, directly from its enemies. This is the nudibranch, a soft-bodied sea slug, found from shallow coral reefs down to the pitch-black floor of the deep ocean. Its ancestors once carried a shell, like every other snail-like creature in the sea. At some point, that shell disappeared. No outrun, no hiding place left. So how does a slow, soft animal like this survive in a world built on speed and defense? It starts with a decision that should get it killed. Certain nudibranch, called eelid nudibranch, seek out some of the most dangerous animals in the ocean and eat them. Jellyfish, sea anemones, even the Portuguese man-o'-war. These animals are covered in microscopic weapons called nematocysts, tiny coiled harpoons that fire in a fraction of a second and inject venom into anything that touches them. Most predators learn this lesson early and stay away for life. The nudibranch never learned that lesson. It swims straight toward the sting. Here is where it gets strange. As the nudibranch digests its meal, it breaks down almost everything, the same way any animal digests food. But the nematocysts are not broken down. They are recognized, separated out, and move through the nudibranch's body completely intact, still loaded, still functional. They travel all the way to finger-like projections on the slug's back, called cerata, where they are packed into storage sacks and held ready to fire. Think about what that actually requires. One tiny mistake, one misfire inside its own tissue, and the nudibranch stings itself with a weapon meant for something else entirely. That never happens. Somewhere in this soft little body is a sorting system precise enough to tell the difference between food and ammunition every single time. Now, flip the story around. A hungry fish spots this slow, defenseless-looking slug and decides it's an easy meal. It bites down and gets hit with the exact same sting a jellyfish would have delivered. A weapon the nudibranch never made a single drop of. Scientists call this process kleptocnidae, which simply means stolen stinging cells. Researcher Paul Greenwood, who has spent years studying how predators acquire and store nematocysts, has described this as one of the clearest examples in nature of an animal weaponizing a stolen part of its prey. And this is not some brand new discovery. Naturalists first documented this behavior nearly 100 years ago, and scientists are still working out the exact details today. You would think stealing a weapon from your food would be strange enough for one animal. But a close relative of the nudibranch took this same idea and pushed it somewhere even more unexpected. Meet the sacaglossan sea slugs. Instead of eating stinging animals, they eat algae. And inside plant cells are tiny structures called chloroplasts, the microscopic engines that convert sunlight into usable energy, the same basic process that powers nearly every plant on Earth. When most animals eat a plant, those structures get digested along with everything else. Fuel, and nothing more. Sacaglossans do something almost unbelievable instead. They pull the chloroplasts out of the algae cells while keeping them fully intact and absorb them straight into their own skin. And once those stolen chloroplasts are sitting inside the slug's body, they keep working. They keep converting sunlight into energy inside a creature that is not a plant and has no leaves of its own. Biologist Mary Rumfo, who studied this process in a sea slug called Alicia chlorotica, found that this stolen solar power can keep functioning inside the slug for an extended period, acting as a genuine supplementary source of energy when food is scarce. An animal, quietly running part of its life on sunlight it never grew the ability to use on its own. Scientists call this trick kleptoplasty, stolen chloroplasts. Two completely different lineages of sea slug, breaking the same basic rule of biology in two completely different ways. One steals a weapon. One steals a power source. Neither one builds what it needs from scratch. Both simply take it. And this habit of taking on the traits of what you consume shows up in a third way too, one you can actually see with your own eyes. A nudibranch has no shell to hide its identity behind, so its outward appearance is shaped directly by what it eats and where it lives. Eat a certain sponge, and pigments from that sponge can show up in its skin. Store different stinging cells from different prey, and the shape and color of its serrata shift to match. There is no single default nudibranch. Every population, adapting to different food in different waters, ends up looking like something new. Terence Gosliner, a researcher at the California Academy of Sciences who has spent decades identifying new nudibranch species, has helped confirm what that constant variation adds up to. Over 3,000 known species and counting. No two look alike. No two are armed the same way. And new ones are still being found. So the next time you hear that a soft, slow, unprotected animal has no place surviving in a world full of predators, think about the nudibranch. It never built a shell. It never manufactured toxin. It never needed a run. It simply reached into the very things trying to kill it and pulled out exactly what it needed to survive. No claws, no venom, no speed. And somehow, still one of the most dangerous, most impossible creatures in the entire ocean.